Paranormal in Pennsylvania may discuss topics such as suicide, murder, and other potentially upsetting things. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, and welcome to Paranormal in Pennsylvania,
where we discuss history and haunts.
Today's story takes us over to eastern Pennsylvania. I'm Sarah.
And I'm David.
Let's get into it. So today we're talking about the Selma Mansion. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
This was actually a listener referral by TikToker with display name Lou. I didn't get her actual username, just the display name, but thank you for referring it to us because it was super interesting to look into. And if you have a place that you want us to cover, you can find us, beep us if you want to reach us, and let us know what you want us to cover. TikTok, Instagram, email, etc. So the Selma Mansion is located in Norristown, Pennsylvania, so that's over on the eastern side of the state. And I really feel like the closer you get to Philadelphia, the denser the haunted locations get.
So by the time you're in like Center City, everything's haunted?
Well, yeah, by the time you're in like Old City, Philadelphia, just turn around in a circle and everything's haunted. You know?
There are a lot of places in downtown, right? Or Center City. In Old City.
Yes.
Even. Yeah, gotta be specific, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's not everything, but I just feel like there's so much there and on that side of the state. So, the Selma Mansion, it was built in 1794, and interestingly, it was home to General Andrew Porter and his family. And that's interesting because I would have assumed that the people that built it had the last name Selma.
Yeah, or if it was just like, I could see that, or if like the street it was on was Selma, and it's the mansion on Selma.
That's a good point. I didn't consider that. But the Porters were the first ones to live there. Andrew Porter was captain of the Marines in the Revolutionary War. Was a captain, not the captain. He was a captain of the Marines in the Revolutionary War. And he later served on the state level in a variety of different facets. And fun fact, he was the great-grandfather of Mary Todd Lincoln.
The more you know.
Yeah, because it's like how many people really were there in prominent political families, you know? I guess a lot, maybe.
Oh, I don't know. No clue on that one.
Yeah. So after this initial Porter built the house and passed away, his son inherited it upon his death in 1821. And they were then the resident of the Andrew Knox family. Colonel Knox expanded the estate by purchasing surrounding farms in 1853. So this grew to like 200 plus acres. The mansion plus the estate.
Gotcha.
After the death of Knox in 1879, his daughter Ellen inherited the property where she lived with her husband.
Now, the name Knox, though, any relation to Fort Knox?
I didn't see anything about that.
Okay.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how common of a last name Knox is either. There could have been several Knox families, you know.
Or could have been the same.
Yeah, could have. Or, like, yeah, later descendant.
Yeah. Ellen's husband's name was Joseph Fornance, and he was a prominent lawyer and was president of the Historical Society of Montgomery County. In 1902, Fornance sold away some of the acres of the estate. So it had been built up, it was big, and then a few of the owners decided they were going to sell off some of the acreage. So it started shrinking. After the death of Joseph and Ellen Fornance in the late 1920s, the mansion and the few remaining acres became home to their son, Joseph Knox Fornance.
Okay, yeah, I totally see how we're getting to Selma now.
How? You're being facetious.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I was
No
like,
idea.
Wait, how? Because I don't get it. Yeah. And they all have like the same name. It's like Andrew Porter Jr., Joseph Knox Fornance. Like, they're all the same name.
Yeah, were they just like appending like last name? Or like just like by coincidence, they're like the double last name kind of sounding like Knox for him?
Knox Fornance.
Fornance.
It's his parents. It's
because
because it's Ellen and Joseph's combination.
Yeah, okay.
So when Joseph Knox Fornance passed away in 1965, and his wife continued to live there, she passed away in 1983. And after that, the house was largely unoccupied, to the point that they actually auctioned off all of the stuff that was in there.
Huh. So did it fall into like a serious state of disrepair?
Yeah, it did. And what's really interesting is allegedly some of the stuff in the house that was auctioned off were like Civil War era artifacts.
Hopefully those found their ways like into museums and
Yeah.
such.
Yeah, or people that really appreciate it.
Yeah,
you know?
like a private collector that like really cares.
So while it was unoccupied, the Norristown Preservation Society decided they wanted to purchase it for $40,000 payable in annual installments of $5,000 at a time. So it would take them 8 years to pay it off, and it wasn't a huge cost for this mansion. Because remember, a lot of the acreage around it was already sold off.
Right.
Interestingly, Ruth had willed Selma to the state, county, or borough, but no one wanted it.
I wonder why.
I know. I wonder if it was really in disrepair or if people were just like, what are we going to do with it?
Right. Like, also, how many like bed bath was it?
Yeah, I don't know. But either way, it ended up in good hands, and now they have the Norristown Preservation Society there, and you can tour it or even attend events there. They even have psychic fairs, which is cool.
That's fun.
So that's the history of this. Pretty interesting. I still don't know how it got its name. If you are listening to this and you know, please let me know, because the whole time when I was going through the history of the families that lived there, I was like, okay, and then next were the Selmas. Nope. But it's kind of cool because it was just truly a family house.
Yeah, I'm wondering though, again, if it's like the road or is it is the geographical area called Selma?
No. The geographical area is not called Selma, but the road could be correct. So the paranormal story. And I want to start with some quotes here, so I'm going to be reading directly. The first comes from a local historian who, when asked if it was haunted, said, quote, "Of course. Anyone who's come here has never been disappointed," end quote. The second quote is from a local that actually grew up down the street from the mansion and said that they had many experiences with it. And they said, quote, "We've all had experiences," end quote. So what's interesting to me is the historians, so the people that are there professionally, let's say, in addition to the people that are there personally, grew up in the area, all say it's haunted.
Right. But cool that there's already so many accounts saying that it is haunted.
Yeah.
And like actual like quotes from people sometimes we hear like, oh, people say this, people say that, they say this, the they committee.
Right. They. So getting into the actual hauntings, what are people experiencing at the Selma Mansion? There are 3 notable spirits here that tend to show up on almost every account of the hauntings. And there's a ghost in the kitchen. Many claim that that ghost is actually a poltergeist, so we'll get into that. There's the general that built the house, Andrew Porter, and then there's Mrs. Fornance, Ruth. So let's start with the kitchen poltergeist. Everyone has a different definition of poltergeist, and I think you have to be pretty careful in the paranormal community when you say things like that, because everybody does have this different definition of it. But I looked up the Oxford Dictionary definition, and it is defined as a ghost or other supernatural being supposedly responsible for physical disturbances, such as loud noises and objects thrown around. Would you agree with that definition? Or how do you define it?
Phasmophobia definition or not phasmophobia definition?
Not. How would you really define it?
I guess a rather physically active ghost that particularly enjoys throwing objects.
Yeah.
Moving objects. I guess you don't have to throw them, but it can be violent though.
Yeah, it's interesting because some people say that poltergeists feed on like youthful energy. Sometimes that's included in the definition. When I think of it, I just think of like the physicality of the haunting, like you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I know my well was tainted obviously from the movie, but in my mind it still is like a very physical, like when you see a video of the drawer fly open and then all of a sudden silverware fly out of the drawer. That's kind of like what I imagine.
Yeah, I just think I'm honestly not very fast to try to classify ghosts. I just don't feel the need to break them down normally. But everywhere I read it was like the kitchen poltergeist, the kitchen poltergeist. So I wanted to make sure that I accurately represented what people were saying.
Sure, yeah, because we're not in the business of classifying an actual ghost.
Right.
Or spirit. Or haunting.
Yeah, and so apparently that is basically what's happening. It's a lot of moving stuff around, throwing stuff, etc. in the kitchen. So people think it's a poltergeist. Who is it? unsure. It could be anybody that had lived there, or even one of these other two ghosts that I'm going to get into. Andrew is often seen pacing outside his study door. That makes a lot of sense to me. He's seen as either shadow figure or full body apparition, depending on who's viewing him. Some people say depending on the time of day even, which is interesting.
So the time of day is very interesting to me. Is that because there is like a different outfit that the spirit materializes in? Like, you know, like a daytime outfit versus like nighttime might be like jammies.
Interesting. I wonder. I had a theory that he only appears as a full body apparition to people that might recognize him versus appearing as a shadow figure to people that it would make no difference. But I have nothing to support that claim. It's just a thought.
Yeah, because how would you know? How would he know who would recognize him and who doesn't? And theoretically, if you're on a tour, everybody has seen like a photo of him at that point.
Yeah, so maybe that's when versus someone like, I don't know. It was just a thought.
I mean, your thought is interesting. It's just, you know, we're getting quickly into the how does a ghost know?
No. Yeah, that's true.
How does a spirit know, I should say.
Yeah. So, like I said, Ruth is also seen, or more so said to be felt. She's said to be felt lurking as people walk in, like watching over their shoulder. And I think this would have made a lot of sense because she was the lady of the house. She was overseeing the mansion, the grounds, etc. So she's still kind of checking up to see who's coming in.
Interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't think of like lurking with a lady of the house. Like I would think like the lady of the house is like the one that needs to be seen and heard and felt. But I guess actually then that's where the felt would be. I don't know, like the lurking sounds interesting to me. As if like I'm like conniving in the corner.
To me, it's like, I'm watching you, don't get out of line. And what's interesting about her haunting is people say that you smell roses when she's around, when you feel her. And her signature scent was rose perfume. That's
a lot better than a lot of the smells that we've heard associated with hauntings.
Yeah, and I'm always skeptical of smells because I'm talked about it tons of times, how wood or other things in homes can expand and contract based on heat and release scents. Commonly, like smoke is the one that we see that people like smell.
Cigarette smoke.
Yeah, because
or cigar.
Yeah, because it's stored in those materials. Roses and perfume to me is a bit more specific, especially because it's associated with feeling like they're being watched. So I'll give this one paranormal.
I'm hesitant to give it like paranormal out the gate, but perfumes and like very specific unique smells are definitely more a harder to classify, right? Because like cigarette smoke or tobacco smoke in general is like, okay, whatever. But when we start talking about like the smell of like vanilla or just like your cologne has been one that we've been told several times. That's more unique. I don't know, it's harder to be like there's that much cologne and perfume that's sank into the walls and the floorboards.
That was my thought. Yeah, like after all these years, it still happens to smell like her signature scent specifically.
Right. Like if it was like a perfumery, I'd be like, yeah, okay, this is absolutely like invalid.
Right. So there are other general hauntings here in addition to those three, like character ghosts, as I always like to call them. And these are largely auditory in nature, which is interesting. So disembodied voices is the most common claim. Investigators have claimed to heard spirits verbally answer questions and even say their name. Like the investigator's name, not the spirit's name.
Oh, I was about to say then, how do we not have more named spirits?
No. So it'd be like, you would say like, is there anybody here? And they'd say, yes, David.
And again, that brings up another like interesting thought of how does the ghost know your name already? Unless did the investigators introduce themselves?
It could have been that, or it could have just been, you know, if you think about the spirit as being in the room with you, in the house with you, has anybody else said your name? Like if I needed help setting up or something, I could have said, hey, David.
Sure. You know what? That's probably how it happened. Because like for me, I'm sitting here thinking like, but you and I like barely ever use each other's names directly to each other. But that would make sense because, you know, it's often just you and I speaking to each other. It's not like when there's a third party, you're more likely to use a name.
Right. And we are married, so we might say something other than our first names, you know?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. I've only ever called you Sarah.
Yep, that's it. Very strict. Very strict in this household. So yeah, I think if you're there with other people, you know, you could be more likely to use someone's name, and then the spirits that are there with you would have awareness. But that's not all. Because there's also the sound of piano music, even though there's no piano there. And this could just be like a residual thing, in my opinion. But I do wonder, the spirit who is saying people's names, do you think it's Andrew or Ruth? Or neither?
I don't know. Do I want to go like a little left field and say it's the poltergeist from the kitchen?
You could.
But then you said there's also 3 generic hauntings. So it could be one of them. I don't know if it's it, because surely it would have given the name if it was Andrew or Ruth, right?
Yeah, but even if it's a different spirit, it has a name.
What I'm saying that like Andrew and Ruth strike me as the type of people that would have identified themselves. Like, who am I speaking with? And it would said Ruth.
I see. Okay.
Like, I'm the lady of the house. Of course I would, like, you know, you should know who I am.
You're in my house now.
Right.
Okay, I get that. So you're saying it's probably someone maybe less prominent in the house.
Yeah, potentially. Or I wouldn't even have to say I wouldn't say like less prominent, but like of the 2 prominent figures, I imagine they would identify themselves. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can be wrong, of course. This is just what kind of sounds like makes somewhat sense to me.
That does make sense to me, actually. I hadn't considered it, but if they're there pacing, watching over, etc., why would they then hide when it came to auditory? That doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Right. Like all of a sudden they're super skittish. Unless, you know, if we took the tour and then learned that like Ruth actually was quite antisocial.
Well, following along auditory hauntings and Ruth, the next one has to do with Ruth. So when investigators have been there, they say that they hear this strange buzzing noise, almost like a doorbell. You know, sometimes doorbells are like meh. So maybe Erica can find the sound and insert it better than me just going meh. But anyways, you guys know the sound that I'm talking about. So they were doing an investigation and they couldn't figure out what this was. They thought maybe it was a glitch with their audio equipment, and they ended up interviewing Ruth's caregiver that took care of her while she was ill. And she said that Ruth had a buzzer to let her caregiver know if she needed anything. So they think that it's Ruth's ghost using that buzzer to try to communicate.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I wonder, so if she's buzzing, then where was, like, assuming Ruth was in her room?
Yep.
I would have went to the room immediately and said, yes, Ruth, and like...
That's a great idea. Well,
right?
They didn't find out till after the investigation.
Well, yeah, I'm not like, faulting them or anything. This is just immediately like, ooh, based off this information, I would do this.
That's great. If we ever investigate there, 100%. That's a great idea. I didn't even think about that. And it's so smart because we always say with investigations, you want to meet the spirits where they are because they are in death as they were in life. So I love that. That's a great tip for anyone investigating the Selma Mansion.
Pro tip for all you viewers out there.
So there's 4 auditory hauntings. The last one you're going to love. It's the laughter of children.
I do love me the laughter of children. And then just throw in a baby crying and my heart, oh, it sings.
Yeah, I know you love or you hate children ghosts.
Again, only ever because what if it is something masquerading as a child? A child ghost? Nothing particularly wrong with that. But what if it's not a child?
Yeah.
Not fun.
Yeah, and in this case, it really just seems to be the sound. So almost like the piano music seeming to be residual, this seems to be a bit residual. Like there's no seeing of spirits, there's no movement of anything, no other auditory sounds, no lights flickering, anything. It's just the laughter.
Do we know where that's been heard?
Throughout the house. And I don't think that that's surprising because if you think about it, it was a true family home for the hundreds of years before it became a preserved house. So there was countless children there.
What if the poltergeist is the child that's laughing?
I like that.
Right? It would explain the mischief in the kitchen.
It could. Wow. We gotta go investigate. You're like on it tonight.
Which is funny because I am dead tired, everybody. Like hanging on by a thread.
But yeah, that's a great theory. I could see that. Like, mischievous child in the kitchen. I like that. So that is all of the hauntings of Selma Mansion. What is your take? Would you visit this place a paranormal phenomenon?
Yeah.
100% I would.
Yeah, like there's no, it's not like any like the past places we've covered that it's like particularly violent or like a lot of death involved in terms of like could be an axe murderer out there. Who knows? We never knew.
Yeah, and the other thing is, because this has been a family house for so long, I'm not gonna say nothing bad ever happened there, but it kind of feels like good vibes, you know? Like it was just passed from family to family. People raised their families there. Doesn't seem like there was much tragedy or anything bad that happened.
Then we take the tour and it's like, oh no. We gotta release a special episode.
Well, I'm sure.
Correcting the narrative.
Everything has a backstory and there's two sides to every coin, but it doesn't seem like, compared with Eastern State Penitentiary, for example, there's a lot more propensity for this to be light than there.
Sure, but I wonder, like, wouldn't you say that though? Oh, there have been homes we've covered where like some pretty gnarly things have happened.
Yeah, Hex Hollow, that was crazy.
I was also thinking back to like season 1 with the New Orleans home.
The nunnery.
Yeah,
that is wild. So yeah, that is the story of the Selma Mansion. If you've ever been, let us know what your experience was there. And in general, let us know your takes on David's thoughts, because they are very interesting to me tonight. And I'd love to hear what people think. If you have a place that you want us to cover, like I said, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, email us, YouTube, anything, carrier pigeon, and we would love to cover places that you guys send to us. They're really interesting. This one is a great example. I loved researching it. The ghosts are interesting, the auditory hauntings are interesting, and we never would have known if a listener didn't refer it to us. So be sure to send us places that you want to hear about. Tune in next Thursday to see what history and hauntings we discuss next. Stay spooky, my friends.